All right, welcome to Crowning Connections with Rob Clemons. Today we have Danielle Van Dyke with us, my trusty co-host. How's it going, Danielle?
Doing great. Totally not nervous at all, Rob.
Not nervous. Well, she's never nervous, man. Still ice water running through those veins, as they say, right?
I got this. I got my sassy sweater on today. I'm doing good.
You know what? You make a great NFL place kicker. I put you on the 50-yard kick with the game on the line. You're just nailing it every time, right?
Absolutely.
And of course, she's a big-time sports fan, so that makes sense, right?
Yep, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I love it.
Right, a couple of Washington fans here. It's been a rough year for us.
Oh, now we're done.
Yeah,
He just walks out.
And now we apparently have a Dallas fan on the set. Okay, well, this has been a short show. Awesome. All right, teaser for later, right? But no, actually today I'm really excited about the show. I'm always excited about the show because it's just kind of part of my personality. But I will tell you that we're going to talk a little bit about business building today because I've been in this industry for a long time, both the building industry and just general business industry. And we always find common challenges amongst builders, amongst business owners. And they're usually related to things that we all see out there. Right now, recruiting is a big deal. How are you finding the best talent in 2022? A lot of people still haven't come back to work right now. And so I'm finding people having to fight so much harder to get good talent in. And how do we do that? Profitability. This is always a big one. Companies have found ways to make money, but can they get the profitability they want to? Kind of fun. We were just talking about it a little bit before the show that, these companies will get to the end of the year and say, oh yeah, we made a lot of money in gross, but how did that net look? It's not so great, So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Just general growth management. How do you go about that? And a big one that I think we can go to today is talking about technology and business, right? How do you stay ahead of the trends in 2022? Danielle, I know that you and your team, you guys are always working on ways to, kind of stay on the forefront, and there's always a new social media beyond. This is constantly a challenge, right?
Oh, absolutely. And this year is actually our year of knowledge and growth and everything. So we're putting a lot of time and effort into researching the new things going on in the marketing world and making sure that we're staying on top of it and ahead of the curve.
It's the year of knowledge and growth?
Oh, yeah.
Whoa, my gosh, man. No pressure or anything. I feel like I have to... I was about to say, I'm going to have to come in with a new Wikipedia fact every day or something.
Yes, please. Please.
Okay. I just feel like now I'm inspired, so it's a great thing.
You should be.
But, a lot of businesses do talk about this, right? We talk about, staying ahead of technology, and, you have different generations. The Gen Z group, of course, they're all about the technology, but what about the baby boomers in the group who are still working? And we need to be able to find ways to be more efficient all the time. So with that being said, we're really, really blessed today to have Scott Trembley from Keller Williams, the Trembley Group, with us. Welcome to the show.
Hey, man, super glad to be here and excited to just share some knowledge, gain some value as well, bring some value, and talk business, maybe talk a little bit of life, talk marketing, talk tech, talk profitability, whatever you guys want to talk about, I'm here for you.
I love it. I love it. Well, that sounds great. One of the things that I found are really interesting about doing Crowning Connections is we find people who are in the local market. We're in Myrtle Beach, and it's one of the most growth-worthy markets in the United States, of course.
Right. How
long have you lived in Myrtle Beach yourself?
So, good question. So I came here in 93? Jeez. So what does that make it? That makes it like 27, 28 years, something like that? Or
long
30,
time
29
at this
years,
point.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I've been here for a long time. Actually, grew up in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay.
And went to school at East Carolina University. My mom and I are super close growing up, she moved to Myrtle Beach. And, graduated from college. When you graduate from college, you're like, what the hell are you going to do, right? And then, so I'm going to go, I was getting in the golf business then, so I came to Myrtle Beach.
Nice.
And sort of landed the foundation there, and then just really started kind of honing into what I want to do the rest of my life. And I came to part of my story is I came to a crossroads. I knew sales was it, and I came to a crossroads where I was looking at the pharmaceutical industry, right, and real estate. And the bottom line was. It's funny when I tell a story, people laugh because I went through all the Pfizer interviews and this, that, and the other. Suit and tie, 5 interviews. Just drilling it down. And they're like, dude, we'll hire you. You can work anywhere in the country for us. At that time, I didn't have a lot of money, this, that, and the other. Friends are like, man, you get the car, you get the salary, You get the, that's it, man. I mean, Pfizer, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm looking at real estate at the same time too. And I looked at it right there, and I think this is one thing that people can learn coming up at any stage in life is like, who are you and where do you want to go? Like, look yourself in the mirror and make good decisions based on who you are and the value that you bring, because everybody's different, right? And so I was looking at it and I was like, man, this is like the stability, like this makes the most sense to the masses. And I'm the guy also that, you go into an airport, everybody's running over there. I'm gonna go to that line by myself because I can get my ticket over there, right? So I'm gonna go create my own path. But when I was looking at it, I was going, the last thing in the world I want to do is go drive around and sit down and hope that like a doctor talks to me, right? I want to go build real relationships. And so when I talk about that crossroads, the first word of real estate, real, that's what got me. And so now I will tell you this, it really offered no money or anything, right? You had to go and just make it happen on your own. But I knew that I could believe in myself and start building real relationships and really just go after it and have just, a high level of integrity doing it, and there's no limit. And so I took that leap of faith, and that was 24 years ago. And, a lot of things have happened since.
Man, that's an awesome story. And I really appreciate that because sometimes you do find yourself at that crossroads of, what do I want to do, right? And you can find that crossroads at 18, you can find it at 28, you can find it at 48. It's a thing, but you managed to find success in a business that so many people try to get into, right? If you go down and you talk to the Coastal Carolina Association of Realtors, they're going to tell you, they have new realtors entering every single day,
all the
right?
time.
And so what to you made you stand out? Because the common thing I always hear from people is they say, somebody says, well, I got into real estate. Well, why'd you get into real estate? Well, everybody told me I've got a great personality and I'd be great at real estate. And then, a year down the line, they're not really making any sales. Things are struggling. What is the key to being a great real estate agent? How do you get into it and be really good at it?
Yeah. So real estate is like, the thing about it is it's a license of flexibility, right? That's what gets people in it. That's what gets people out of it, right? Because they get into, oh my God, I got my real estate license of flexibility. I can go do what I want, make my own schedule. This, that, and you come in when I want, right? So here's the deal. You show me somebody successful, I'll show you somebody that has discipline and structure into their schedule and accountability. And so, what it takes is it takes hard work, right? It's like I tell my boys, be the hardest worker, have the best attitude, breathe life into others, and stay humble, right? That's what I tell my four boys. Hardest worker, best attitude, breathe life into others, encourage others, and stay humble. So get it around folks that created the schedule and had accountability, and then you got to go to work. Like, you've got to figure out how to start generating business, right? So you have to literally decide that you are going to win that morning and own that morning. So your entire morning every day for as long as you can imagine, and we still do that in our business today, is generating business for the business. If you're not generating business on the day-to-day, your business is going the opposite direction. And so just hard work, being around winners, right? Winning that morning, staying true to who you are and the consistency. It's the workout, to stay in shape. You got to work out consistently, right? So it's the daily workout plan for a business, and it's not easy. Like, there's, I have mad respect for anybody that runs a business because it's not easy, right? It's not easy. But I tell you what, I have a lot of respect for individuals that take accountability, take ownership in everything they do, and are willing to go out there and put in the daily grind. And so just to answer your question, hard work, the daily grind, understand it's a long putt, not a short putt. You can work on those 2-footers, but it's a 20-foot breaker, right? It's a long putt. It's a 40-foot, and it's not easy, but just staying consistent and belief, surrounding yourself, right, with others that are either heading in the direction you're going or have been there, right? And one thing I say in my today world is having unlimited resources towards learning.
Absolutely.
So being a lifelong learner every day. And I think if you do that in anything that you do, like I always say, anybody in life, like, it shouldn't be the heartbeat like this in your life or in your business that where, oh my God, I did great. Oh, it fell off. Oh my God, that's their agent, right? I sold 3 homes.
Exactly.
Oh my God, so they forget about lead gen and they don't sell 3 homes for another 60 days, right? Just consistent repetition and repeatable, and your business just, if you notice, I'm still going up and down though, because nothing's perfect, right?
Exactly.
But I'm going this way because I'm working the daily grind, day in and day out, around successful people. And I tell you, I challenge anybody out there, and no matter what career they're in, make sure that you make good choices and you get into an environment where you can win and you can actually go where you want to go. Like, make sure that you're in an environment that actually like thrives on that, right? Because if you're in the wrong environment, it's going to be an uphill battle.
You know, two things that you said that I want to get too far away from.
Right.
So you mentioned something great, and I love this. And I'd love to dive into a little bit about what you do at the Trembley Group that gets you to that mindset, right?
Yes.
But we talk about hard work. And, you know, we talked about the Mamba Mentality a little bit ago before we got on.
Love it.
But, you know, you talk about hard work. So I would challenge anybody to look at anybody that you really respect. And so often I meet people who say, oh, you know, I want to be a singer. You know, I want to get on, you know, I want to be an NFL football player.
Right.
And it's like, you know, they have these goals or even something more simple. I want to be a manager of a business, but it's, are you willing to put in the time to be the best at it? You know, and I find that even with a real estate agent, my recommendation for them would be, and look, I come from the home building industry. I've got a broker's license in real estate. I would tell you that if you're going to commit to it, you know, don't say, well, I'm a realtor now. I can come in at 9 a.m. or whenever I want to.
Right.
Come in at 7 a.m. You know, get your stuff together. Start working on your craft, because the great ones seem to always put in that kind of time, no matter what you're doing, right?
No matter what you're doing. Like, we literally, so I go back when I was getting started, we had an accountability group, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is how it worked. We wrote, and by the way, like $150 checks were not fun to write back then, and they still aren't today, but they weren't fun to write back then. So we all took $150 checks, put them on the wall, right? There were 5 of us. Had to be in the gym at 6:10. So not 6:11, right? Not 6:15, 6:10 or before. We had to be in the office at 7:50 on the phones a day. You miss any of that, we take your check and we go to lunch, we go to dinner on it. You have to rewrite the check.
Oh my gosh, I love Danielle. Hold on, before we go now, Danielle, this is a marketing team gold right here again. Are we gonna do this?
Oh, 100%.
Write that down. Yeah.
Her eyes got real big when she said the 100.
Accepted.
All right, so $150 challenge, but no, I love this. So accountability.
So accountability and then so anyway, back in that world, I was the only one that nobody ever cashed a check, right? So it's like, we love athletes, right? Because athletes understand the grind. They understand you just don't pick up a basketball and start making 9 out of 10 free throws, right? Or you don't pick up a basketball and start learning how to dribble with your left hand. You need to dribble with your left hand. Like if you're right-handed, 75% more than you dribble with your right hand with your left, right? So you can actually learn a trade, and you got to do it day in and day out, right? And so another thing we live off of is nothing's given, everything's earned. Right? And so if you can live in that mentality and you have that type of work ethic, right? And you surround yourself with folks that are traveling in that direction and believe in that with no excuses and leave the drama in the parking lot, right? I mean, everybody's got this like look at everything, like every challenge is an opportunity to grow, right? And you get 1% better every single day. Nothing's given, everything is earned. You win that morning. Period. You got to win the morning. Like, you just absolutely. Studies show that if you win the morning and you lead generate, and no matter what your business is, before 12 o'clock, from 8 to 12, right? You will get more done before 12 than most of America. This is interesting. Before 5, in one day, most of America before an entire week. Just lead gen in one morning. Now, exponentially multiply that by 4 or 5 days. That's what, if you look at in our industry, but it's any industry, right? I mean, it's Kobe Bryant. Read his story. The guy said, meet me at the literally part of his story is the guy said, he said, I'm going to meet you at the gym at 3:30. The guy thought he was talking about 3:30 in the afternoon. So he wasn't there, and he said, where were you? And then he got to the gym. The guy that was going to interview him or whatever, or watch him train, he got to the gym in the afternoon. There was kids doing all kinds of stuff. And he's like, "Where's Kobe?" Kobe's like, "Dude, it was 3:30 in the morning. Where were you?" Right. And then of course he made it to the gym, and he tried to beat Kobe to the gym, and he got there at 3. He's like, "I'm gonna be there right on 3:30." Kobe's already there. Already there training. So it is like, we can talk about all kinds of stuff, but there's no substitution for gaining that incredible knowledge from winning that morning, day in and day out, right? It's repetitious boredom, actually, right? And just mastering that on the day in, day out. And then you just exponentially start getting better. And your competition starts becoming, they're playing for second.
Absolutely.
Because they're looking for the magic pill.
Oh yeah,
right?
100%.
Yeah.
Not understanding all the things that happen behind the scenes. And
Right.
one thing I heard Kobe talking about one time, and I love this. He said that he would come into that gym 2 hours before everybody every
Right.
day, because he said, "Look, I'm working that extra 2 hours a day, and no matter how hard you work, you'll never catch me because I'm
Yeah.
2 hours ahead of you,
Every
2 hours
day.
ahead of
Yeah,
you."
yeah.
And the consistency of it. Another thing I'd talk about is we were talking to Thomas Blackwell, author, the other day, and Thomas, he's always quick to word it like this. I would say normally expect failures along the way.
Right.
What Thomas would have said is expect opportunities for improvement along the way.
Yes.
But either way, it's the same thing. What
Yeah.
you're talking about is people are going through the first resistance you get. You think, oh, well, this doesn't work out. That thing didn't work. It's like, no, you have to almost expect a failure here or there. Expect that you're going to have a challenging or a humbling.
Right.
But then if you can push through it, that's usually a thing that makes you better. And I think that's part of what you're saying with the whole consistency of the operation, right?
Yeah. What's funny, I was training. We train a number of different agents. Coaching and training is a big part of our organization, right? And be it somebody that's a top producer or somebody that's a new agent. But so if we talk about somebody that's getting into the business, that first 90 days. So I always tell them, here's what's going to happen. Like, you're going to come in, and like this is like with our organization, because we're gonna hold you accountable. We're going to push you to be great.
Mm-hmm.
If you're signing up with us, you sign up to be great. Like, average is not an option. Like, we just delete average. You sign up to be great, right?
Yeah.
So the first 30 days, you're going to be so excited. Oh my God, these guys are amazing. Love it. The accountability, man, I'm all over it. I'm making my 25 to 50 contacts a day. This is great. First 30 days, right? 60 days in and going, man, these guys are pretty cool. I mean, this 25 contacts is getting tough. I mean, I guess they're all right. Not real sure. 75 days, fork in the road.
Oh, yeah.
75 days, like 2.5 months. I mean, legs are getting heavy. Been running those sprints, right? Legs are getting heavy. And then all of a sudden it's like, do I really want this?
Absolutely.
And you know what? Some go this way and don't. And the ones that push through, just like you were saying there, that push through right there, they get to that 90-day mark. Oh my gosh, that client I talked to in week 1, they're ready to sell their home. Oh my gosh, their friends are actually buying too. Like, the fruit starts showing up. And it's not massive then, but it's funny. It's like, how bad do you want it? How hard are you willing to get it?
Man, it's amazing, and I think it's underrated a lot.
Yes.
Another thing that you said that I thought was really great is, when we talk about something like, surrounding yourself with good people, and we talked about the gym, right?
Yes.
I love the gym analogies. Shout out to the gym listeners here.
Right.
Right. But one of the things is. Have you ever had a gym partner, and talk about accountability and how much harder you tend to work when you do have that person there?
100%.
It's amazing. So, I remember I had this group of friends back in college, and we were just so committed to the part of it. Now, nowadays, I don't even need a gym partner. I'm going to go every day, no matter what. But it's amazing how that can affect you. And we accept that for something like the gym. But what about just day-to-day life? Who are you surrounding yourself with? You surround yourself with motivated people who are going to go and get it all the time, or you have that person who naturally drags you down a little bit.
Right.
I'm a big fan of Jordan Peterson, and he talks about getting people who root for you to succeed.
Yeah.
So this is part of your group. You need to form your group with people who they embrace your successes,
right,
who want to lift you up,
yes,
and of course who have like-minded goals, right?
It's huge. Yeah, it's huge. Well, I mean, we talk about healthy competition all the time, right? So I mean, when we're building our organization, we want superstars in every seat, and we want everybody, because I mean, everybody's asking questions, what kind of value are you going to bring us? Well, how about this? What kind of value are you going to bring us? Mm-hmm. Right? And so we want superstars in championship mindsets in every season, where we're breathing life in each other always. And if you build an organization that way, I mean, it's one of my principles when we talk about business principles and stuff. But A+ talent superstars, not 100% of your problems, but most of your problems go away. Mm-hmm. But if you start like, you start looking at where you want to go, and then you hire based off of, all of a sudden you panic, you think you need somebody, then you hire off of what you think is necessity, but it's really not. And then you bring in a, B- or C player that's, draining the system rather than breathing life. All of a sudden things just don't go right. So, I mean, it's so important to have that kind of breathing life, cultural environment, championship type environment, where everybody there's a healthy competition, but everybody wants you to win. And so they're like, look, you did $3.5 million. I did 3.6. I got you, but you did amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus you fell on your face and I won.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like we want to lift everybody up and have champions that are always succeeding, right?
Oh, that's a beautiful thing. I've found, and I have my steps to company culture that, we don't have time to go into today, but it starts off with hiring the right type.
Yes.
So you said something that I think any business owner, any manager can probably relate with. You go through the interview process, you hire somebody and you're thinking like, hey, they had a great interview and they did this and this. And then you get that first week or two in and you're like, oh boy, I didn't really think about this hard enough. And sometimes it's just not a great fit. How do you, at your business, how do you go about finding the right person that fits this culture that you built? I mean, do you do personality profiles? I mean, how do you get this right?
Yeah. So funny, that's a great question. So we do 2 personality profiles.
Okay.
And so we have a KPA, key performance analysis, and we do a DISC profile. KPA actually is like an hour test that it's really just, takes their blood type almost, right? DISC profile is going to give you, just going to find out if they're a high D, ISC, right? So we're always doing that. And then we just literally put them through the interview process of a number of different people on our team, right? To make sure, and we've, look, let me tell you something. We failed there. We failed there. We work on winning there more and more often, but we're looking for that. Our 3 core values that we revamped. So our business, whenever the pandemic and COVID hit, we took the time to sort of restructure, revamp, and do a lot of things to get just much more efficient in everything that we do. And part of it was revamping keeping our core values simple. So our 3 core values are results, resilience, and respect. And so we talk about, we're trying to find if somebody's results oriented, because look, if you don't have results in a business, you don't have anything, right? We're a blue collar type mindset. We love resilient individuals that can get knocked down 100 times and get back up 101. And then we want everybody to respect themselves first, right? And then respect others, respect our clients, respect the model, respect the environment, right? Which is a high energy environment. But yeah, DISC, KPAs, like we really peel back the onion. We learn all about really from their start, their mentors, their upbringing, their competitive nature, their anything dealing with sports, how they view leadership, right? What type of environment they would thrive in, where have they thrived before? What's the hardest, what's the busiest and hardest week they've ever had before, right? Tell us more about that. Where do they want to go? Like, what is a team environment? Like, what does that really mean to them? And then what are their goals? What are their career goals?
I got a little tip for people, because it sounds like you've done quite a few interviews before too. When you this is for the candidates out there. If I ever ask you, what was like your hardest week? Give me a shout. Don't tell me like, well, so man, I put in a solid 35 hours and.
You hear that stuff these days, man.
You hear these answers.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh boy, all right, where do I go from here? No, it's funny, and I can appreciate that. So one of the things I want to talk about is, and everybody out at Monarch knows I'm a big fan of the DISC assessment. So let me predict you are an ID.
Well, yes, that's good. So I'm off the charts D, high I, so both. Yeah.
All right, got you. So no, it's funny because I've kind of gotten to a point where I can almost predict certain things, and that we're a big believer in that too. Of course, if for those who don't know the DISC, obviously, if the C-type personalities that make great accountants, and we try to fit the right people in the right spots. Right. A lot of our great salespeople end up having some variation of I and D. Are you finding this in the real estate industry too, or
all the time? And I tell you, there's a little tip too is. It's one thing, so you got to find the right people, and you got to have the right process in place to find it. But here's the thing: is you can find, and this is just anybody building a business learns this. You can bring in the most talent in the world, but if you don't have the processes, the coaching and training to back that talent, then that talented person can fail, right? And so it is most important to get the right person in the right seat, but then it's like 100% getting that right process and coaching and training around that individual so they can fly like an eagle.
I totally agree. One of the things that we look at is I believe that if you have an employee that fails, usually it is the business's fault.
Right.
But it could be that you missed it on step one. You might have hired the wrong type.
100%.
And a lot of times I know my staff, when I go in for that final interview and I kick somebody that everybody just loved.
Right.
It's because of the fact, though, that we know that we got to put the right person in the right position.
Right.
And if we don't, it's kind of doomed from the start.
Right.
So that makes a lot of sense to me. What kind of, if you don't mind me asking, 2021, what kind of sales volume did you guys have over at the Trembley Group?
Yeah. So we during the pandemic we scaled. We built the business. So we started the Trembley Group 5 years ago, and we built the business to a $100 million business in 3 years.
Wow.
Right, just over 3 years. And so that was like as fast as like anybody's done it in the country.
Man.
During the pandemic and COVID, we actually sort of revamped everything. We revamped some of the team members, right? Because we had some wrong peoples in the right seat, right? The infrastructure, the back end, the whole nine, just got it really, really streamlined. So we scaled it down to about 80 million a year ago. And this year, with just 8 agents, we did 106 million.
Wow.
With just 8 agents.
Man, that's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Now we've really, over the last 6 months, we've ramped up everything. So the target this year is 200 million plus.
No way.
And we have all of the infrastructure, we have the team, we have everything in place to actually exceed that. So we're excited about it.
Man, I'm excited. Like next year, this time we're gonna have you on here because I'd love to hear how that goes, and I'm sure you'll do it.
Yeah.
One of the things I was intrigued about, I heard about the 12 days of business essentials. You put this out right as we were coming up to Christmas, so I love the take on it anyway. Of course, everybody knows Danielle is a big time Christmas fan, so the 12 days of Christmas, the 12 business essentials, I love it.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about maybe some of your favorite parts of that. Do you have a couple of best tips from that you'd like to share with us?
So I wish Danielle still had her reindeer ears wearing, but she put those away being it's New Year.
And
right?
her Christmas sweater.
Trying to be a little bit more professional today, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, absolutely. So I'll drop a few of them. A culture of accountability and ownership is one. So you kind of start there, right? So I believe, and I think it's not just my belief, but if you find great business owners or great businesses, is they have a culture of accountability and owning their stuff. And so at the end of the day, look, nobody's perfect. We're all going to make mistakes, but just own it, learn from it, grow from it, right? But have a transparent culture of accountability and ownership. And my asterisk next to that is the accountability and ownership is, which our company loves. We believe that feedback is the breakfast of champions. And so what I found was that a lot of companies, and this is just what people tell me all the time, a lot of companies say that, man, we value everything from you. We want to hear it, but they really don't.
Mm-hmm.
But
Exactly.
we literally, we'll have a meeting on this Wednesday, and we'll learn more from our team, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what we could have done differently. We'll have we got this new thing we're rolling out. It's called the Hickey Moments, which is the Hickey is HYKI, how you killed it.
Okay,
right?
right.
How you killed it. So it's kind of fun. But
Cool.
But culture of accountability and ownership. Like if you have a transparent company where you're always learning, always growing, you're owning your stuff, then the sky's the limit, right? You can do whatever you want. But if you don't, and then the last thing we want to see is pointing the finger it was attorney's fault, it was a lender's fault, it was inspectors. Oh, my teammate over here, they dropped the ball. No, we're in this thing together. Own it. Be accountable to it, no excuses, and let's get further faster because of it, right? So accountability and ownership. Another one in the 12 essentials is you got to know your numbers, right? You got to know your numbers. A lot of business owners don't know your numbers. And so knowing your numbers is, you mentioned it earlier, is what's your true profit number, not your revenue, right? Not your gross revenue. What's your true net profit? What are you spending on lead gen? What's your return on investment there? What kind of ROI do I have there, right?
Absolutely.
You've got to know the percentages of all of your salaries and your lead gen and your different sources, right? You have to understand the P&L, right? You've got to understand a profit and loss statement, right? And so, a lot of business owners don't even understand that. Mm-hmm. Every dollar that goes into the company, what's the return on it? In our world, we have inside sales agents. So inside sales agents are generating business every day on the phone and setting appointments for our agents.
Okay.
So we pay our inside sales agents, right? And then they actually get bonused on closings. So we have lead gen that comes into the company, and we are also paying our inside sales agents. So all of that is lead gen. What's the return on every seat?
Absolutely.
Right?
Wow.
So you got to track and measure all of that. And then, of course, on your buyer side, your listing side. So we're just really intentional, understanding our numbers and getting better, and just finding that next detail that we need to do, and we track and measure it, and everybody's accountable to it. So we have scorecards for it.
I love that. You used the word intentional a minute ago.
Yes.
I think intentional is very powerful.
Right.
Business owners, too often, business managers, business leaders, whatever they happen to be, you make emotional decisions. Emotional decisions are rarely the right decision, right? So when you make an intentional decision, that is based on things like KPIs and things like you talked about. So speaking my language all the way, for sure.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned emotional decisions too. It's like, so I talk about business this way. When everybody starts a business, heck, Apple started out of a garage, right? When everybody starts a business, it starts mom and pop. Right? But then some businesses make a decision to actually build a company. And some businesses stay mom and pop. And then a lot of businesses go out of business, right? And so what we've done with the Trembley Group is we made a decision through COVID, we're building a company, right? And so building a company means you have to have an accountability of ownership and accountability, and you got to track your numbers really, really deeply. So you've got to be very, 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 very intentional. You've got to have A+ talent. That's another one of the essentials. You've got to have the right talent in the right seat. You just got to have it, right? You got to look at your org chart there, and you've got to literally look at results, resilience, respect. Do these people adhere to the level that you want? And if not, why? Can you coach them up, right? Or are they a fit?
Yeah.
Right. So you have to have A+ talent, right? You got to know your numbers. Another essential is your people have to know that you care. They absolutely have to know that you care, which is why one of our really fun but intentional core values is feedback being the breakfast of champions. How do they know that you care? You listen to them, right? You listen to them. Back end of the business, you got to have processes and procedures, right? You can bring in the most talented people in the world, but if there's not structure to where they're going to go, they could fail.
Absolutely. Well, I know that was one of the things here at Monarch, and officially, when I took over as the GM here, I remember I kept coming up with these processes and procedures.
Right.
I felt like at one point it was great until they were like, if I see one more process and procedure.
Right. I'm going to throw something at you, man. I know.
People were saying stuff like, is there going to be a process for going to the bathroom, Rob? And I was like, well, maybe. Don't get me started, right?
Potentially, right? Yeah.
Right. But no, that's amazing stuff. One of the things that, I think is a lot of fun is to just look at these measures, because you can also find improvement. It almost becomes a competition in itself. How are we doing on profitability? Can we do better next year?
Right.
How are we doing on callbacks and things that we have to go back and resolve? Can we do better next year? And this all goes back to how you track your budgets and everything. So I think that's great stuff.
Yeah, man. So we're like, when you track and measure your numbers, you can see where you're winning and you can see the gaps.
Yeah.
Right. So we're always looking like, where are we winning? Like if you're winning there, right? So when you're tracking and measuring like a lead gen source, right, or where you're generating business, what you do is you figure out like what ROI you need. You can actually put more money to that as long as your ROI doesn't start dropping, right? And so it's really, really important to know where you're winning and also where you're losing. And that's why you track your numbers, is like you need to know the gaps. The agents need to know the gaps, like in their calls to sets, the METs, the sign, the contract. Like, where is that agent doing the best? So they're actually speaking to this many people, they're on this many appointments, but they're only getting this many contracts signed, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
maybe it's meeting them, they're missing something there, or they're putting this many clients under contract, but only this many are getting to the closing table, right? So maybe they're getting ahead of themselves. So just tracking and measuring everything is just, you got to do it.
Kind of makes me think of that old tongue-in-cheek adage. They say, well, we're losing profit, but we're making it up in volume.
Right. Oh.
It's like, we're selling more, but but that'll make up for the loss in profits we're having on every sell. It's like you have to know where you're going, right?
Well, man, our business is full of, man, I did this GCI, like gross commission income, right? This volume, this GCI, I'm crushing it. We did 1,000 units. We did this, that, and that. But when you look at, you don't hear about it. They don't share their P&L. But a lot of them aren't making any money. And so you've got to figure out a way to build an organization that is profitable, but also creates a world where everyone in the organization can build a big world themselves and thrive, right? So it's a balancing act. It's real. I think the best companies, you figure it out, right? But you've never arrived. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, okay, guys, we arrived here. Now we're going to the next level, right?
Got to.
Because you never arrived, right? Nobody's perfect. You've never arrived. But you've got to figure out that balance to build that big world so folks can build a big world in your organization, but you can be profitable, right? So you can build the big world for them, right? And that's why you got to know your numbers. And if you're not looking at your numbers, I look at them on the daily. But if you're not looking at least on the weekly, a lot of people say on the monthly, no, I think it's too late.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, if you're not looking at them, then you're going to get behind. Right, and this ever evolving world that we're in, this techie world, this fast moving world, like you will get passed by. Yeah,
I want to go there with you, and there was something you were talking about. You've alluded to it a couple of times, and I wanted to see how you guys dealt with talking about technology and talking about staying ahead of the trends.
Yeah.
How did you deal with COVID? Because I know on the, at this business here that we're in, we ran into people during the prime of COVID. I'm talking about when people really didn't know what it was and they just didn't want to meet you in person. Right. We were having to find ways to do remote presentations on sales and things. What did you guys do to adapt that happened during COVID to still make sales? And are you still maintaining that today, whatever that was?
Yeah. So it's really quite simple, but yet intensive, because I've never been through COVID, right? I mean, I've talked to a lot of business leaders and owners, and during that time, like, man, what are you going to do, right? But you got this. So we were very intentional on building a big database up until that time. And so what we did is we just literally virtually. So we're on Zooms every morning, right? Coaching and training up everybody in the organization. But then getting on the phones and having relationship conversations with all of our clients, not business conversations, right? How are you doing? What can we do for you? How's your family holding out? We just want to know we're always here for you. Like, there was plenty of times where, our team did a lot of different things for folks in the local community, but just having relationship conversations with all of our clients to maintain that database as we hopefully worked out of this. And what happened was, it's the fruit of the labor, right? What happened was, the more we did that, business started showing up. I mean, it slowed down, but then it started showing back up, right? Because, man, we're just real people having real conversations that really care. So it's not about like, oh my gosh, what are you going to do? Are you still going to sell that house, right? You still looking to buy? It's like, Jim, tell me how you're doing. How are you and Sue doing, right? Tell me about the family. Like, I mean, I've got all these kids who like, what are you doing with your kids? I mean, what are you guys doing about school? Just getting to know them even more, right? Just building a relationship with your database. And so you ask the question, like, did it translate to today? Of course. Like, getting better on building relationships with your database, getting more intentional. So it even worked during that time, and everybody's hair was on fire and freaking out, right? And the thing about it is, being a leader of an organization, you can be freaking out on the inside, but you can't freak out on the outside, or else everybody else will freak out, right? So I just tried my very best to be the constant, the stability there. So I was in the database too, right, with them, and we were all having relationship conversations and just trying to stay as connected as we could, and we just worked our way right through. And so what that led us into was learning how to do more virtual conversations, build relationships that way that we are using today, and just stay more intentional on connecting that database and becoming that company that we kind of patent sort of what we call a 6-star service, which our director of client experience would tell you this: 5-star service is amazing. It means you're delivering an amazing service to every client above and beyond. 6-star service is actually anticipating their next need. Being ahead of it, right?
Nice.
And so through all that time, we've always talked about it. We sort of just continue to implement that into our business through the relationships and just bring in what we feel like is unmatched service in the business. So we learned a lot. Everybody was sort of freaking out. I tried my best to not freak out as much as what the rest of the world was doing.
Yeah.
And we just worked our way through it,
Did you find that people, you were having to maximize the game of more video work and things? I mean, as far as the actual showings, did people show a reluctance to go out and even get together and do that walkthrough, or was it just like people were like, no, fine, I'll mask up and go walk through the houses?
No, there was video work, there was virtual work, a lot of virtual work, and there was a lot of sort of scarcity around can I even sell show my house, right? And then do I even want to go out and see a house? And then and sellers don't want people in their houses. Buyers are a little reluctant.
Right.
But over time, what happens is we're in real estate. So as crazy as that is, this time, the pandemic, right? As crazy as that is, people still have to buy and sell. Like their changes are happening in their lives. And so if you get connected and you build a relationship, what I found is they'll find a way. They'll find a way. But they'll find a way with somebody they believe in and they really trust in, right?
Because they still have the need. It's like the need didn't go away. So now they just had to find a way to feel comfortable and get it done.
Yeah. So, it's like, you're always on the sales side, you're always looking to really dive in deeply to the motivation of the client, right? But during COVID, you don't start there, right? You find like how they're doing. And then ultimately what happens is it becomes a real conversation and you find the motivation of the client. And next thing you know, we had people that wanted to do real estate via virtually or have the mask on. So we had to move and shake. But life's not a static line. You got to stay fluid.
Always got to be adaptable all the time, and take these challenges and embrace them. And if you can be the best at embracing and handling those challenges, you might just come out ahead.
Right.
I know you have more 12 Days of Business Essentials. How can people hear this? You have a YouTube channel, or what's the best way to hear the rest of those?
So Instagram, Facebook. We do have a YouTube channel that we're creating more on right now, but probably go on Instagram and check me out on Instagram.
Yeah.
That'll be the best way to follow those.
That sounds good. One or two other questions. So you have any hobbies? What does Scott Trembley like to do in his downtime?
Yeah, man. So I'm a big athlete guy. I have 4 boys, and so really my hobbies now are playing basketball, baseball, and football with the boys. Right.
Nice.
Having beach time, but first thing in the morning workouts. Love to read.
Nice.
Right. Love to read, and my wife and I, we do our very best we love to get away when we can, right? But outdoors always, and we're always. It's sport, it's outdoors, it's competing, and with those boys of mine, man, I just absolutely love it.
Oh, I bet they keep your hands full for sure.
Look, you got to stay in shape to keep up with them. It's one of my things. Like they're getting older, they're getting quicker, they're getting stronger, and I'm like, you guys are still you're a long ways away from beating me in a basketball game. Right?
Actually, a fun fact before this happened, he showed us his stomach. He's got an 8-pack.
No.
And somehow or another, he has an 8-pack. That's crazy.
I did not do that, by the way.
And this has been Fictitious Stories with Rob Clemons. A couple other quick things. So, what's next for you guys? I know you want to make, you talked about the $200 million.
Yeah.
I heard you got some big news coming up. Can you tease us with that? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, man. So we do. We're getting real close to launching basically a new company in this market that's also going to be expanded. And the company is going to be really kind of everything we talked about based on, everybody out there sort of knows about Chick-fil-A and Ritz-Carlton or Disney. Apple, like we talk about that level of service in the real estate industry. So the company is going to have a holistic approach around that level of service in the real estate industry. And we just, we really are super intentional, excited about making a huge impact in not only just in the real estate industry, but I think the way our business, the business I'm talking about will be structured is huge impact on all business owners and anybody out there. But what we do know is, in this crazy world that we're in, technology companies, big box companies, they're all doing their thing. But for you to really, really create the space that you want and be relevant, you got to be special. You got to be unique, right? And you got to get out there and create your own unique value proposition. So we got a company that we're launching in the next, we'll call it the next 60 days or so. So be on the lookout for that. And it's going to be special, and it's going to be a high level of service and really one that's unmatched in our industry. So we're super excited about it.
Man, that's cool. Can we get you back in about 61 days to come talk about that?
Yeah, man.
Right.
I'd love to.
All right. That sounds really good. Well, we're running near the back end of this show. This has been some great information. I think stuff that any business owner can apply to the business. So it's been really great learning about results, resilience, and respect. I love that mantra. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
And just want to thank you for being on, Scott Trembley, Keller Williams, the Trembley Group. Great pleasure having you on today.
Hey, Rob, thank you so much for having me. And it's always a pleasure to bring value and learn stuff too. So, and anytime.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Danielle, any other thoughts for today?
I think Vern's going to kill us if we don't tell people to share, and
Well, my gosh.
subscribe to our
Absolutely.
So this
podcast.
is the place where I was learning. I learn every day. I was told
Right.
I need to ask people, if you enjoyed the show, please actually follow us on our podcast, and also tell your friends, and on social media or whatever you do. I've been told that MySpace is big these days. And this is antiquated thoughts with Rob Clemons.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, seriously, if anybody enjoyed the show, please continue to listen. We appreciate the viewers. And this has been Rob Clemons with Crown and Connections.
Hey, man, thank you. Awesome.
Thank you.